Hello and welcome back to the Car Talk podcast, a show where we talk about the latest car news and the latest transportation opinion. Today I'm joined by Matty, as usual. How you doing, Matty?
Yeah, good. Busy week for me, but a very dull week for the car news, as we're about to discuss.
It is actually. It's quite annoying because I was trying to look for some things to say and I just found loads of electric cars. And we've also got a theme this month even, which would be a little game we're playing. Who Wants to Be an Idiot? I'm sure you've heard of that, but we're going to make it sort of car related by what we explain in a bit.
Yeah.
But shall we start off with the car news, Matty? Do you want to go first?
Well, listeners and viewers, if you're watching on YouTube, it's been a very hellish week for the car news. Just going through some of the headlines here. You can have a new Toyota Camry. You can have 750 quid off an MG. Fiat 500 Lounge is the deal of the week on Auto Express. I could go on, so I will. Toyota Camry gets fresh looks and more equipment for 2021. Seat Arona facelift. All just completely rubbish. But something that isn't rubbish that I'd like to talk about this week is a very positive thing from Jaguar.
Yes,
Jaguar are, to be fair, one of my favourite new car makes. If I was going to buy like a brand new car, I'd buy something like a nice big Jag Saloon V6. And some good news for them is that they've said they don't want to make any more SUVs. Which I think you'll agree is good. Yes,
that's
great.
Good news, that is.
It is. I've driven the F-Pace and it's pretty uninspiring. It does roll and lollop everywhere. And that is good news. So apparently it doesn't really fit in with where they want to go, which is, as we're led to believe, is by 2030 an all-electric manufacturer. But they also want to go further up market and compete with the likes of Tesla, perhaps, which means no more SUVs, which is good. But a question I'd like to ask, what do you make of this, Bailey? Because Jaguar have said no more SUVs, yep, great, but they've just recently cancelled the release of the new XJ Saloon, their big flagship saloon. That's just cancelled. So what are they going to make? What, super minis?
Well, that's the thing. Like, they kind of, Jaguar are, well, they kind of rely on the F-Pace and, the new E-Pace at the moment. So I don't think cancelling that new Jag is a problem, but it actually, obviously cancelling the SUV market for Jag could be. But at the same time, that's good because I don't like big SUVs in middle-class areas, for example.
Well, yeah, they also, I think one of their best sellers, if not the best seller for Jag, is the XE, and that is also going. So
I know.
I don't know if this is just some sort of riddle or whatever. I honestly don't know what is going to happen to Jaguar, but they're stopping making SUVs, which is great.
Yeah, that is good news. I'd like to talk about the new Mercedes EQS, new electric Mercedes based on the S-Class, but now it is worsened. It has like a two-tone colour thing. It's like black on the top half where the bonnet starts and the sort of roof, and then white underneath. I don't know why they decided to do that, because it's a bit strange in my opinion, but I don't really know much else about it and I don't want to. What do you think, Matty, about it though?
Well, you sent me this earlier in the week, didn't you? And it's sort of a mixture between, like, it's like the CLA shooting brake, little estate version of the CLA. It's like a worse looking version of that, but it also looks a little bit like a shortened Maybach.
Like S-Class Maybach sort of style.
It's, I don't know, Mercedes again, just like with the GLB, solving a problem that just doesn't exist. Nobody asked for this. And
No, exactly. And nobody wants one, I don't think. I mean, it's not really that appealing. If they made it just one colour, it might look nicer.
Yeah.
But why do they go for that too? It just looks ridiculously hideous.
Yeah, and they've got so many cars in the range and electric cars as well. And it's a little bit like the Smart 4.2 Brabus that we had on last podcast when we were with Daniel. I sort of can't really
see the point.
Yeah, and also for them, I don't know who is gonna buy it. You know,
I think Mercedes in particular has gone downhill from like their sort of, that generation when like sort of 2008 to 2016 sort of gen. Those were the best Mercedes in my opinion. And now I actually prefer like the new Audis a lot more than the new Mercedes.
Yeah, Audi's a tricky one because it's hard for me to admit that Audis are just so much better because it's hard because I just know that they're owned by Volkswagen. But you're bang on about Mercedes. Like obviously, so the ones from the 80s and 90s, I think they had like electrical problems and things like that. But the actual build quality was so much better because they weren't so mass produced. But then I actually prefer, oh God, I think it's from what you mentioned, like, so from like 2008 to 2014 or whatever, that C-Class. So that C-Class, like where it's got creased lines and it's sharp and everything.
Well, my mum owns that C-Class, the 2008 C220 diesel estate. It's actually, I mean, a lot of people have said, a lot of mechanics said that worked on the car, said it's the best engine that Mercedes have made. Yeah. And it's on 120 odd thousand miles and it's still running brilliantly, if you ask me.
And I just think the C-Classes that come after that, the plastics inside aren't as nice and they just look a little bit sort of blobby. I can't really get behind Mercedes at the moment.
I think they're spending more money on the mood lighting in the interior rather than the actual, everything else. Yeah,
they've gone a little bit strange. It's like they're going through a sort of phase where they just want to be different.
Yeah. I mentioned Audi earlier on. They're bringing out a new Audi, the Q4 e-tron. It's yet another SUV that we don't need, but I think it looks all right. I'm still not keen on it, but I think it looks, half decent, the actual looks. But one thing that does surprise me, and I'm actually more interested in now that I've read a bit more into it, is you can choose, apparently, choose the sort of drive shaft to be rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And that's quite cool in an SUV, I think.
Yeah.
Also, it has a range of 318 miles on a battery, which is a massive step up. And apparently it charges from 5% to 80% in about 40 minutes. Also very good.
That is very good, providing the Audi aren't being a little bit too optimistic with
marketing reasons.
Yeah, I mean it's never been like Volkswagen Group to lie about emissions and how economical a car is, but we'll believe them on that
for now.
We will for now. We'll give them a chance for now. I think it looks, for an SUV, it looks.
I like the front more so than the back. I think.
Yeah, it looks.
Quite I think it
looks great, and I want to know as well how. So obviously, you'd expect it to be smaller than a Q5, but it looks about the same size to me as a Q5.
I've just seen as well they've got a Sportback e-tron, which actually looks a lot better. I don't know if you can see a picture of that.
I have. Yeah, I've got it.
For the listeners on Spotify, it's got different rims. It's got like sort of bronzed rims, a bit more sporty. It's got a nicer sort of front bumper. It just looks a lot better actually. I just noticed that. So that's sort of drawn me into it a bit more. But yeah,
it looks a little bit the actual just the regular one, like a little bit like a Volkswagen ID4 as well.
Yeah, cross between like another sort of other Volkswagen SUV, I think.
But yes, we do very much like Audis. And on to another thing that we like, especially Bailey, is the Mazda MX-5. Bailey, of course, which I'm sure he will talk about in a minute, has got a Mark
I
1.
will indeed, for ages.
Mazda MX-5. He'll wax lyrical about that for a minute. But for now, viewers and listeners, Mazda have released a limited edition Mazda MX-5 Sport Venture. There's just going to be proper roadster. There's cream leather seats in there as well. There's only going to be 165 of these made, and prices start from £27,000, which is about what you'll pay for a Mark 1 MX-5 in a few years.
Or when it was new, pretty much.
0 to 62, 8.3 seconds, and a top speed of 127.
That's pretty much the stats of my car. I mean, if you're not aware of this, I've just released a video with a new review of my brand new old MX-5, which I recommend going to watch. And mine's obviously the 90s version. This is the brand new, which again I'd buy as well if I had the money. I do really like the sort of cream leather in that nice blue colour. And you said 100. What was it? 165 made. Do you say, Matty?
Only 165 are going to be made. Yeah.
And I wonder if they've chosen that number because that's the horsepower that it has. Because that would make sense, because I know the new one has 165 horsepower. And it's funny because actually that's got the same top speed and similar 0 to 60. I'm sure it's a bit more aerodynamic, so it's a bit quicker. But
it's got things like a cream roof, cream interior. I don't know if that's something to do with it. Oh, I'm just looking here. Proper handbrake.
That's what we want. Yes,
just comes up vertically almost from the center console. Yeah, it looks very nice.
It's lovely indeed. Yeah, you
almost can't pick, can you, between this one and the Mark 1?
If it was me, Matty, I'd have like 3 different scenarios. So I'd have the new one and the old car, which I have.
Yeah,
I'd have the Mark 1 and 2. Mark 2 would be more of like the project car. Yeah, I don't even know, but you know what I mean. That's that sort of thing.
Well, the Mark 2's good, but when it was out, it was a little bit less desirable because I think
the pop-up headlights went. That's why
the pop-up headlights went, but didn't it weigh more?
Yeah, so the Mark 2 weighs about 100 kilos more. My car weighs about 980 kilos, which is just under a ton, which is like, it feels like a proper race car, a proper sports car. Whereas, like you said, the Mark 2 sort of felt, you could feel the weight of it a bit more. Yeah, it wasn't as nimble. But it's still a nice looking car, and it's still got the Mazda gearbox that is very famous. Limited slip diff, all those sort of things. It's brilliant still, but and then the Mark 3 was sort of a bit meh.
Yeah,
I didn't particularly like that one, but anyway, moving on, because I could speak from Mazda. Beats about Mazda for ages. I've got not really a car, it's more of a pickup truck. It's the new Hyundai Santa Cruz, which looks, well, again, hideous.
Do you think?
I think it does. I don't like the grille. What are they doing with that?
Actually, I don't like the front, but a crossover that is a pickup truck sounds promising.
That's what I've written down here. So, like they say it's breaking new grounds.
Yes. By
combining SUV, truck, and crossover elements.
Breaking new grounds and making children sick with that face. I agree.
190 brake horsepower from a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder, or you could have a 275 brake horsepower from the turbo one. Naturally, I'd get the turbo one because speed and power is everything.
Well, is it coming to the UK, this pickup truck?
Yes, I think so.
Is it? Yeah, okay. Because I've just looked at the back. I don't like the front, I don't like the back, but I like the idea.
Yes.
So hopefully Hyundai will take that on board. I just want to move on quickly before we go to our not interested segment for this week. We've also got, very quickly, just the headlines this week. Prince Philip will be buried tomorrow as we're talking.
17th of April.
17th of April, his funeral will take place, and he's actually being ferried in a custom-made Land Rover Defender that will carry his coffin. We should have a picture on screen now if Bailey's concentrating and editing, and it looks rather interesting.
I quite like it. The fact that he's designed it himself, it gives it more of a personal element. That green colour's nice. It's a Land Rover. There's nothing more British than that, is there?
Yes.
What a way to go.
As well, very quickly, Bailey's talked about his new car, so it's only fair that I get to talk about mine. It's got a lot less pedigree than a Mazda MX-5, but it is green and it doesn't have a catalytic converter. I have bought, you may have seen on my Instagram this week, Matty's Cars YT, something to complement my French Saxo nicely, a gorgeous NREG Peugeot 205. Which
Lovely stuff.
I'm growing ever more pleased with. It's going well. It's been laid up in the garage for 2 months because it let me down, but turns out.
What do you expect from the French?
Yeah, they do. They do let you down, the French, but turns out she only needed a little bit of a minor service, and I've driven her to work twice this week. Absolutely no problems at all.
That's good news.
Yeah, apart from that it idles like a pig and doesn't have a catalytic converter, but it is a cheap 26-year-old car, but I'm really proud of it. So stay tuned on the Matty's Cars YouTube channel because it will be nice when it's finished.
Yeah, I love the car, Matty. It's nice. You'll definitely need to do a review on it sometime soon, hopefully very soon. But just going back to my car very quickly because it's a very similar age to Matty's, and you've had a few problems with it. I've had a few problems with mine, which is all sorted out now, hopefully. And we sort of spoke, recently, Matty, about how we were both sort of scared to drive them because they're so old, and because I daily drive my Mark 1. You obviously don't drive that daily, but you drive it often.
Yeah.
It's just that sense of anxiety you get from the old cars, which makes it, the whole ownership of a classic car is around that. But it's a bit of that at the moment, I think, for both of us.
Well, there's always anxiety. There's always things that can go wrong unexpectedly. But what I've found with the Saxo, which it used to do a lot of, it still does actually do a lot of mileage a week, is that if you've had it checked over and that it's got fresh oil in and things like that, just the basic things, then you're all right. The only time I've really had breakdown anxiety with the Saxo was when I knew that the timer belt needed to be changed and I was scared that it would snap and kill the engine. But because I've had the Saxo a while now, I drive it and I know that there's so little chance of something going wrong because I just know the car and I know I get things fixed when they need to be fixed. But with the Peugeot and all the problems it caused me, which I will talk about on my channel, I was driving it with literally some poo came out is how I'll sum that up. Also, some very important news this week before we move on to the theme of this week's episode. We've got here how new CEO Linda Jackson will redefine Peugeot.
I'm not interested.
Neither am I, unless it's about the 205, which it isn't.
No, it isn't. Anyway, as we mentioned earlier, we've got a special sort of game we're going to play this month. And I'm sure you're all familiar with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, a game where you answer a few questions alongside Jeremy Clarkson or whoever that other person was that did it.
Chris Tarrant.
And, yeah, that's it. You obviously try and win £1 million. Now, the car edition that we're going to be doing is obviously with the prices on them. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? They obviously have those sort of sections and amount of questions. We're basically picking a car from that amount of money. So we're not exactly winning anything, but it's sort of more of a dream thing. Yes,
this is the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire car challenge. There's obviously about 1 million different amounts of money that you can win on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So I think, I've definitely got a £500 car. rather than the £100 where you're supposed to start on Millionaire.
Yeah,
so
we're going to start from 500 and sort of work our way up from there.
It will all become clear.
So, Matty, do you want to go first with your car? £500.
£500. We've got here a car that everyone should own. I haven't owned one yet, but it's a 2001 Hyundai Coupe. You'll see the screen recording on screen now. It actually looks very tidy. Judging by the description, the owners know a lot about the car and do like the car. Unfortunately, it's an MOT fail, and it does have some major defects, apparently. If you edit this bit out, Bailey, and I'll read you some of them. So, repair immediately, drive shaft, brake pipe, suspension, service brake, suspension mounting, structural strength is bad, and the brakes are imbalanced. So, I don't know. I've got my £500, but I'd probably need to win $1 million to do the project. But
yeah.
It's a nice little project. Do you have anything for £500, Bailey? Or
I do.
Good. What have you got?
If you have a look in the chat, I have got a. Give me a second.
Ooh.
You'll see it. It is an Audi A3 2004 1.6 Sport, £450.
Wow.
The only thing wrong with it is, well, the steering's broken. But we'll just gloss over that because that's easily fixable.
Fine.
But I think that's quite a good car for that amount of money. You know, it's a Sport. It's a decent engine.
That's very good. Yeah.
It's got 100,000 miles on it, which is, you know, nothing for Audi really. I think that's a pretty decent car.
That'll last forever.
Yeah,
Apart from
exactly.
the steering.
Obviously, just the steering needs to be fixed, which we will do when we buy. But yeah, next up is £1,000. Matty, what have you got for that?
For £1,000, if I won Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I'd buy myself a Ford Mondeo ST 2000.
Nice.
This particular one is, I don't know what year it's from. It's an X-Reg. It's 2000. It's beautiful. It looks in great condition. The guy's had it painted. He said, lovely red brake calipers, and it is a V6 as well.
Wow, that's for £1,000. That's a lot of car.
Yeah,
you know,
2.5.
even a standard Mondeo. The fact that it's an ST 200, that's pretty impressive. So what's wrong with it? There must be something wrong with that.
Let's just see here. Clutch is very high, so it needs clutch. Yeah, that's
a good car, Matty. That's a brilliant find for £1,000. And it's not as good as my £1,000. I'll be honest.
Okay, what have you got?
My next car is a BMW 320i. Sorry, SE 2004.
Yeah, this is a proper find. This.
Yeah, £850, which is obviously lower than that.
Save yourself some money as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll see why later on.
Oh.
And the only thing that needs replacing is sensors. So, you know, there's nothing else wrong with it. It's pretty mechanically sound. I mean, it's a 2.2. It's a decent car. So, Matty, did you say you've done 2,000? I've gone straight up to 8,000.
Well,
you can tell me the cars you've got for 2,000, 4,000, etc.
Well, yeah,
I don't have any for them.
I've been a little bit cheeky with the 2,000. I really wanted to get a Saab on there. I think old Saabs are brilliant. So I found this Saab 900 two-door coupe.
Wow, nice.
Beautiful red leather interior. I don't think there's much wrong with it, really, which you'd expect.
Except that it's £800 more than...
I'll bargain him down. It's all right. I'll bargain him down. I couldn't actually find the one I wanted. This is the pre-facelifted version. So it does look a little bit sort of old-fashioned, and I hate to say that, but I just prefer the facelifted ones. It looks a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more cool. Not too keen on the chrome strips on that. But yeah, for £2,800, you can't really.
That's brilliant. I mean, you know, 100,000 miles, but it's cheap, so you're not going to expect low
Yeah.
mileage.
Yeah, I really, if I won Millionaire, if I won that amount of money, that's the type of car I'd buy with that money. So I really wanted it on there. Another one, a dream of mine. You see, this is the problem, viewers and listeners, is if we just take stock for a minute. Bailey obviously is into his performance cars, as am I. But I am also really into shit boxes and 80s classics. And all of them come in at the bottom of the price range rather than at the top. So
Yeah.
I sort of, if I wouldn't even have to win the million, I've sort of boxed mine off at around £4,000.
Which is your next car, I'm assuming.
It is, and it's another car I've been after for a while. There's a story there because I was supposed to get one of these but ended up with a Peugeot. A Vauxhall Nova. This is a 1.2i.
Oh, nice.
Only 78,000 miles. I mean, it is a Nova, but they have gone up in value a lot. 4,000.
That colour's lovely.
It is, and it's got the trademark wheels as well, the free spoke wheels. I'm looking at it right now on the screen. It's just amazing. I want it.
That's a brilliant car for 4.2. I mean, that's quite low mileage as well.
Yeah.
And what's funny, Matt, is when I was thinking, like, what will you pick? I thought of a Nova.
Yeah.
And then you've got it on here. That's brilliant.
Anyone
Anyway.
who's anyone knows I love Novas.
Yeah. What about your $8,000 car, Matty? What have you got for that?
£8,000 car. Well, it's good news. I have gone for a brand new car with my £8,000 that I've won from Jeremy Clarkson. And it is the
Nice.
new Dacia Sandero.
Good news.
Yes, that would be if I was being in a practical state of mind and I
Yeah.
wanted a new car that I could buy without, really being angry. And it would be the Dacia Sandero, even though it hasn't got a proper handbrake.
So why the Dacia Sandero when you could buy, like, I don't know, a Golf or something? Polo.
Golfs, polos. If Rob is listening, I'm sorry, but golfs and polos, a little bit too boring for me. But I like the design of the new Sandero, which I think we've touched upon before.
We have, yeah.
It's cheap, it's basic, just my sort of car. And to be honest, I don't know. I thought I'd, for the benefit of the listeners, mix it up a bit and not just have old cars in there and have something new as well.
Yeah, I like that. Anyway, sorry.
Moving on.
For my $8,000 car, I've gone a bit sort of cheeky with this.
Yeah.
And I have chosen my actual car. But because I paid in my opinion, it's the best car you can get for under £8,000. It's a Mazda Mark 1, obviously, MX-5. I paid £4,500 for it, which means I have £3,500 for mods.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you want to do with that car.
I mean, never in a segment of any sort of game that anyone has played has the MX-5 been put against the Sandero. But there's definitely a first for everything. I mean, to be honest, if we're comparing the two, I'd rather buy a Mark 1 MX-5 and, go for a nice meal somewhere or spend the money on the mods.
Exactly, yeah. Or a nice holiday with the car.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, Dacia Sandero and the Mark 1 is, completely different.
Night
so
and
you
day.
can't compare. Anyway, so moving on to, what was it, $16,000 next?
Yes, £16,000. Am I going or you?
You are, Matty, yeah.
So £16,000. I quite fancied a Rover in here somewhere, but obviously with Millionaire and the price brackets, it's quite hard to gauge and get a car for the round about the right price. But I found this. It's the next best thing. It's a 1990 Rover Mini Cooper.
That's cool.
Yeah, only 32,000 miles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and who doesn't love a Mark 1 Mini?
Exactly. I mean, that's a very pretty car.
Yeah.
Even that sort of black, Is it black? Yeah, it's black with white. It's not the original colours, but that interior. Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The thing. I mean, I could take or leave the interior, but the thing about the Mini is there were so many specs and things like that, and nothing really bothers me about the Mini apart from what type of wheels it's got on it. But them little sort of chunky little wheels, they're the ones I'd go for if I chose it, and that. So I found that, and it's a nice colour as well. It's a little bit like your MX-5, really.
Yeah, a little bit actually. The carpets, the carpets in my MX-5 actually aren't red; they're black. But yeah, I can see how that kind of resembles it. It's kind of the opposite. It's quite funny though. My mate owns like a little Mini like that, which he's sort of restoring.
Yeah.
And the way his description of what it feels like to drive is like it's driving a little lunchbox around, which I quite like.
Yeah, a little lunchbox.
Anyway, for my 16 grand car even, I have gone for, where is it? A BMW M135i. And this is, I think this is quite a bargain because you get, a lot of car. It's a practical car. It does spin out like on Top Gear when you sort of go over 120 miles an hour in the wet, but nevertheless, it's, got 333 brake horsepower around there, so 3 litre straight 6. Who doesn't want a big beefy BMW engine?
Oh yeah, and a lot of people have argued that it's this one that we've got here is the last good 1 Series, because obviously it isn't rear wheel drive anymore, and it looks like a Ford Focus.
Yeah,
so
I agree. Yeah,
it looks like a bargain actually. It's a 3 litre, 15 grand. Wow, very good.
Yeah, so it's only done 54,000 miles. 3 owners, and it's ULEZ exempt apparently, which is good. Ultra low emissions, but £15,000 for that, I think that's a pretty good price for that.
Yeah.
So moving on to £32,000. Matty, what have you got for this? I'm interested in this.
£32,000. I've gone with a new Jag.
XE.
Jag XE, yeah. I couldn't quite afford an XF with my £32,000, so the updated XE had to do. I've driven the old one, very good. Like Jags, I think they get a lot of stick for not being as good quality-wise and things like that as Mercedes, Audi, BMW. But to be honest, I'm not sure about that point. I think the Jags
I'm not either.
Are as well built, if not better built, than the Mercedes.
I agree, because obviously they're owned by Land Rover.
Yeah.
And, Land Rover make Range Rover, and Range Rovers are very well built.
Yeah.
The new ones especially.
There might be some problems with reliability. I know people who've got they've got like a Land Rover and 2 Jags up their path, and their garden wall is inside, in front of their garden wall is another wall which is made out of Jaguar Land Rover batteries. So there are concerns with reliability, but definitely got really nice interiors, and I just think Jags are great. And again, with my sensible head on, that would be what I'd spend my 32 grand on.
I think that's a very good choice. It's a practical car. It's a good looking car. It's pretty, it's quite quick. It's also quite classy. So you've got everything there you want, really.
Yeah.
For my £32,000, I've gone pretty much the different end of the spectrum. As you know, Matty, I do all the time.
Yep.
Go absolutely overboard for everything. And I have found a Nissan GTR. And this isn't any old GTR. It's been tuned. So originally it would have about 480 brake horsepower. This now has Stage 1 remat, which brings it up to 620 brake. And it's only on for £31,995.
We've got to ask yourself, those. Would you rather have a Jag, or would you rather have a Datsun?
Now, hang on a minute. It's not exactly a Datsun. Well, it is, but can you get 620 horsepower out of your, let's face it, old man saloon?
Well, I don't know. It's got a Transit engine in it, but I don't know. Yours is made by the same people who make the Micra, so don't know.
But they also make are the Skylines. And okay, never mind. We'll just gloss over that. Anyway, this has a 3.8 litre V6, as most people would know.
Yes.
And it's in black, so it's just. I mean, I might be called drug dealer, but other than that, it's a good car, and it's a Japanese car. As you know, I like Japanese cars.
Mm. Very good cars, to be fair. I was just winding you up there. But unfortunately, the Jag does have a Transit engine. So moving on.
Yeah. Moving on swiftly. So £64,000 is next, isn't it? I think
£64,000, and just give me 2 seconds because I've forgotten what I've written down for that. Oh, for fuck's sake! I've got to be sensible again. Why have I written down? I was struggling. So
you can tell we're very good at this.
Well, at this point, viewers and listeners, I began to struggle. I'd already fulfilled my car goals. So I had to think again and think sensibly about a brand new car that I'd want to buy, and that is, I think, the new Volvo S60 Saloon.
Nice.
They are, I think they're beautiful cars, and
yeah.
Well, I haven't driven one, but they're just.
I've sat in one, and it's really, really comfortable inside,
nice.
And the interior is just spot on. Like it's very Volvo, but also very sort of warm and comforting.
It's a really
inviting,
really nice looking car, and the likes of Volvo Saloons, Jags, Alfa Romeos, they're really what I'd be going for if I had to buy a brand new car. So that's me £64,000 choice. It does get better. It does get better, viewers, I promise.
Mine certainly does, and on my £64,000 car, I have chosen similar sort of shape of car, saloon, but it's a bit more sporty than, let's say, a Volvo S60. And I've chosen the BMW, the new BMW 8 Series, the specifically 840i. Now, I wouldn't actually have the 840i. I'd have the M8 if I could, but the M8's about £100,000.
Yeah.
But for £58,990, you can get a 8 Series 840i Steptronic. And this is just a petrol. I think it's got a 3 litre straight six, I'm pretty sure. Let me just check. And it's only done as well through 2,000 miles.
Ah, so this is used.
Yes.
How much does it cost new? Is it?
It's about 65, I think. So it hasn't lost that much value. It might be more. I could be corrected, but yeah, it's a lovely car. I really am into the 8 Series a lot. Like when it first came out, I was like, I actually would fully buy one.
Yeah. Nice. I don't know what else to say. All I can see
orange.
All I can see on your screen is that it's a 3.8 4i. Is that right?
No, it's a 3 litre. It's an 840i.
Sorry, yeah. So it's a 3 litre. It's like 840i. Yeah, it's a nice car.
It's got 333 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. It's a quick car. It will get you to your lawful business very quickly.
Oh yes, that's what we
which
want.
is exactly what you want. Anyway, stepping up to £125,000, which is a lot of money. What have you got for this, Matty? I'm intrigued.
I asked you what you had, and you wouldn't tell me, and I couldn't.
I know, it's a surprise.
I couldn't find.
And I've driven the car as well, so that's even more of a hint.
I couldn't find anything.
Oh, you couldn't?
No.
That's disappointing. Anyway, I will make up for it, and I have picked a car I've driven. Not the specific one, but the same car pretty much. I've chosen a Audi R8 V10. This, in my opinion, is the car I'd buy for around £100,000 supercar wise, because I've driven this over the Lamborghini Huracan, and I'm a Lamborghini guy, but in terms of driving, I prefer the R8.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. It's just a lot better.
Well, you've driven the R8, haven't you, as well?
Yes, I have. And this is a special edition. I think only 999 of these ones have been made. I don't know what is special edition about it, but I saw it and I liked it. So, and for £85,000, if I'm honest, Matt, it is actually a really good price for a supercar.
Yeah, and as well, I could sort of redeem myself here because this is the 125 grand category, and that car's 85 grand. So does that mean that I can mention what I wanted to mention originally, which is the Mercedes G Wagon? Starts, I think, from £93,000.
Yes.
But if we're gonna bend the rules a bit and put a car that's not the right price in, I'd like to add that. One of my dream cars. Love it. Actually, it'd be funny to mention. I was getting interviewed on Jack Mortimer's podcast, The Road Show, and he asked me about my dream cars, and I literally went Vauxhall Nova, and oh, by the way, Mercedes G Wagon. He was like, well, it was live radio, so he couldn't swear, but I'm sure in his head he was going, "What the fuck? Who is this man?"
I like the G Wagon though.
I love the G Wagon.
I've actually been in it because Rob's driven it off road.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant car. The only problem is it's a bit, poncy because everyone who's rich drives it.
Well, yes,
So,
it's become it's like the Defender, isn't it? The new Defender. It's become a little bit of a yuppie car, but I don't know. I think they are just the height of cool, and I don't know. People at home now will be going, I am literally listening to a normal person, aka Bailey, and then he's joined by someone whose dream car is a Nova, but also a what have I just said? G Wagon. But yeah.
But that you got to have a bit of variety in your life. That's what I think is good about that.
You definitely have.
What have you picked for £250,000 though?
Well,
that's what I want to know.
I'm about to redeem myself, hopefully. I've struggled with this challenge, I'm not going to lie. I've had Volvos, Jags, Sanderos, but I have found for £250,000 a 1992 on a K-Ridge Lamborghini Diablo.
Oh, yes. Diablo is a stunning car. 21,000 miles on that as well.
Pop-up headlights, Bailey. Come on.
Mate, this is why old pop-up headlights, as I mentioned in the review, if you haven't seen it, then do go and watch, is the most iconic thing in the world. And that is one of the best looking Lambos. Not the best, but it's one of my top sort of 5 there.
21,000 miles. Not that matters, because you won't be going too far in it. But
no. That plate on it as well.
Yeah, those pictures just make me want to go to the house and drive it away. But I haven't answered any questions yet, so I can't.
That's a very nice looking car. That's a good choice, Matty. I like that one. And I've gone for a Lamborghini as well.
Oh,
but slightly more modern. I have gone, of course, for a Lamborghini Aventador, specifically the SV, which, as you know, is sort of a bit upgraded to the standard Aventador. But if it was me, I would have gone for a SVJ because that's my favourite. But they're like 350 grand, and I'm not interested in paying that. So I've got this for £244,990. This looks like something out of Batman. I like the black and I like the little white interior. You probably won't see it on the picture, Matty, but on the screen recording, they've got white seats with like black seats with like white trim, and it's got SV in the seats. It looks lovely. Aventador is, probably my top dream car, I'd say, just because they're just mad. They're mental.
Looks a bit like the Batmobile because it's finished in like shiny jet black. It's
and there's usually you get sort of like the SV badge at the backs in a different colour, but this is completely black. I quite like that.
Yeah. Usually it's Lamborghinis are proper standout cars, but this one looks it's like a Lamborghini that's sort of going to a restaurant for dinner, or
it's a classy one, and it's disguised almost, but it will definitely, when it sort of shows itself, it will show itself in a big way, if that makes sense. What have you got for £500,000?
Well, for £500,000, another great choice from me to make up for all the humdrum choices. I've always liked Aston Martins. They're my favourite of all of the sports cars. So for the £500,000 option, I found this. It's a 17 plate Vanquish. And
Zagato.
Yes, it's a Zagato.
Yeah, I've seen one of these. This is a lovely car, but I've seen, they do the shooting brake one of that, so it's like an estate looking one.
Do they?
They do. They're really rare, and there was 2 of them in my local garage like a couple of years ago, and they sell for about 700 grand. They're a lot of money, but this is lovely. This is more than enough money to spend on an Aston, I think.
Well, 5.9 litre engine, and as well, again, this is not relevant, but this is the kind of thing that turns me on. A nice brown leather interior. What I like about Astons is that they provide the performance, they provide the quickness, but they also don't forget when you get inside about the luxury of the cars.
Yes.
Apart from, of course, the track cars, but they're track cars. What do you expect? Where occasionally Ferrari, will, but they miss the mark a lot of the time, and it's just, they're not cruisers and things like that. I always, remember the Top Gear episode where Clarkson raced the Aston Martin against the Bullet Train.
Yeah.
He won, by the way, but he drove all the way there in that Aston, and he was sound. So the Aston, just, I don't know, the look of them as well, and the fact that they're Bond cars, Astons just do it for me.
GT cars, Grand Tours, they got to be luxury and also very quick. But Matty, why have you chosen brown as the colour?
Is it brown?
I'd say it's
like
brown.
Like a sort of tinged red.
I mean, as Jeremy would say, it's sunburst orange.
Yes. Yeah, go with that.
There we go.
But they didn't have a lot of them on Auto Trader, not as many as the Sandero anyway.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Speaking of not having a lot on Auto Trader, I've got a car that I wasn't expecting to find on Auto Trader, actually. This is where I've been a little bit cheeky and I've gone over budget, but for good reason.
Yes.
Because my £500,000 car is the Lexus LFA. Now, this is costing me £550,000, and you might think, well, that's cheating. Well, it's not, because from the R8, I've probably saved about £50,000, and that goes towards the Lexus LFA. Sometimes, Matty, my genius, it slows the earth, I swear. Yeah. So, as you know, I don't know if you know, but LFA for me is one of my favourite cars of all time, and I'm sure for a lot of people listening and watching, it's one of their favourite sounding cars.
Yeah.
And this, obviously, as I said, I wasn't expecting to find it. I was hoping there was one on here, and there was. I wouldn't have it in black though, but I'd have it in like white maybe. Only 500 of them were made. That's why it costs so much. And this has only done 4,000 miles. So
I could make a joke here that we've gone from Datsun to Toyota, but I won't. I know you like LFAs, and again, yeah, they're mad cars as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Jamie said, one of the best cars he's ever driven.
Yeah.
If not the best.
They are great.
And I'm going by his word, so.
Yeah. I can't argue.
So, Matty, we've just won the £1 million. So what will you be buying with your £1 million?
Well, I don't know. Honestly, like, I could not find a car that I wanted for £1 million. Not that there's many, but
What about 750 grand then? Is there a car in that area that we'd buy?
No. All I can think of is the cars that I've seen on Marketplace, which I haven't already mentioned, which was a £1,000 Citroen Saxo VTS MOT fail, which isn't £1 million, and also a Fiat bloody Multipla that's been converted into a invalid carriage for £2,000. But
that's quite funny.
They are the cars that I've seen, and the Saxo is interesting to me, but I can't. What have you got? Because I was having a little mooch and I could not find something that I would want that was £1 million.
Like you said earlier, you prefer sort of like shit boxes. So I bet, like, I struggled on the low end and you're struggling in the high end.
Yeah,
I'm just a bit more, I don't know,
normal.
No, not normal. I'd say more arrogant with my choices. But anyway, for my £1 million, I would buy this. I found this, which is a 2-litre Audi TT 2000. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Hang on. That is for £1 million though. No, the actual £1 million.
Oh wow!
Isn't £1 million, but it's a car. It's my car that I'd have alongside the LFA, and it is the Mercedes-Benz SLS, specifically the Black Series.
Yes.
This is one of my favourite cars ever made. SLS alone is a bloody amazing car, but the Black Series is a whole new level.
I was considering this. I was considering putting this on, but I knew you'd do it, so
really,
I knew it was going to come up.
Well, there we go. We can both have one.
Yes.
For our £1 million, and this obviously is. I'm saving 350 grand there, so 600 grand again is a lot of money for an SLS, but if you knew they only made a few hundred of them, not even that, 150 I think. Done 5,000 miles, hardly been driven.
Yeah,
it's because they know it will be a collector's item in the future. That's why it's increased the price. But yeah, those are my choices.
Rather have one of them than a TT.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Audi TT 2014 2-litre TFSI Black Edition, S-tronic. For £1 million, I think we need to measure the guy and say that is on a bit too much money.
Yeah,
maybe 900 grand maybe, but I'm not sure.
So there we go, viewers. We've done the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire car challenge, and technically, unless you count the TT as being worth £1 million, neither of us could find a £1 million car. But anyway.
So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That is our, millionaire sort of thing, car game we did. Very interesting cars from both of us, I think. I particularly liked your older sort of 90s cars, Matty.
The Diablo was my particular favourite. That was a find.
I did like that choice as well. That was a brilliant choice. I personally liked all my cars because I liked them. But yeah, that's about it. Let us know what you would choose for £1 million in the comments.
Yes, that's a good idea. Any choices that you think you have a better one and you think you could have picked that, get involved. And also, I think Bailey's about to tell us, but follow us on social media as well.
Yeah. Yes. Follow us on social media, like Matty just said.
Yes.
So follow us on the Grand Teen on Instagram. Obviously, subscribe to us on YouTube, which this video will be going up on, and obviously it will be going up on Spotify and obviously other streaming platforms. And Matty's Cars YT, I think it is, isn't it?
Something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
You don't even know yourself. But, follow Matty on Instagram, and of course subscribe to his channel, Matty's Cars, on YouTube. So that's about it, I think. Thanks very much for listening to this month's podcast. We do hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe as usual, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.
Goodbye.